This episode of Convert to Raid is brought to you in part by Harry's. Start shaving better today and head to harrys.com. That's HARRYS.com and get $5 off your first purchase when you use the code GAMEBREAKER. Welcome home, Raiders! This week we have the details from the live developer Q&A. We also have tons of updates from the beta, and tanks, you're getting squished. All that and a lot more. This is Convert to Raid number 154.
You're listening to Convert to Raid, the podcast for raiders in the world of Warcraft.
The Convert to Raid podcast power station in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Today is September 7th, 2014, and it is now 11:10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. And thanks for joining us from all around World of Warcraft land. And hello, my name is Pat Krane. I'm the host of this little shindig, and people still call me Zug all around Airy Peak, where I'm currently raiding with my druid, my resto druid. And, of course, the players are here as well. We have a visiting player. You've seen him before. He's a priest. It's Derevka. Hi. You're still muted, by the way. You're still muted.
I am no longer muted.
There you go. There you go.
Trying to be good, but then I just hit the mute button.
Nice work. Nice work.
Hey, no, do it again. It's a low hurdle today, really. Speaking of low hurdles,
oh boy. Yeah, let's, speaking of little hurdles, I don't know. Let's go to, I think, Shadow Moon Valley, actually, we're going to. It looks like Shadow Moon Valley. I don't know how the hell he did it, but it's Koltrane!
Hey, what's up, Zug?
Well, how'd you do that?
I am chilling in Shadow Moon Valley. It is a little nippy here, I gotta tell you. A little chilly, a little bit of chill in the air, but it's nice. It's nice here. It's really nice.
I don't know why you need those shades, though. I mean, it's pretty dark there.
It's part of my relaxation. It is it is a little dark here. But yeah, man, just chilling out in Shadow Moon Valley, having a great time.
Cool.
And it's been going great. But more importantly, I have an old classic for you.
Yeah.
Fortune cookies say.
Oh, boy.
A Tauren's favorite coffee is decaf. Huh?
I mean,
did you say that was a favorite? I don't know who said that.
A favorite of mine.
Oh, okay. All right.
It may not be a favorite of yours or anyone else.
Right.
But I think it's hilarious.
Now,
so, yes.
Now, for those guys that are watching the video of this show, you will notice a bunch of things going on behind Koltrane right now. That's because everybody wants to be on the show.
We're chilling here.
Everybody's on the show. Everybody is behind you.
Everybody is naked.
Right. There's a lot of nudity in Shadow Moon Valley.
Yeah.
I guess this is where you go for that. I have no idea, but there's a lot of that going on.
Goldshire.
Right.
It is the new. Yeah.
The new Goldshire.
Oh,
that's
boy.
right.
What is that everyone whispering into your ear? Like, sweet
what was
nothings?
That? What? All right. All right. We'll talk about that later on. What? Oh, okay. All right. Beef stroganoff. Right. Okay.
All right.
We're good to go.
Well, let's get caught up. It's been a couple of weeks here, fellas, since we did the show last, and there's a lot going on. But first, let's talk a little bit about what we've been doing in game recently. And Derevka, what has been going on with you over the last, just over the last because you're like doing all the theory crafting for priests, right?
I've been doing a lot of spreadsheet stuff. I haven't really published a lot of anything on like the How to Priest forums or anything, because it's still a ton in really kind of in flux. I mean, some stuff is starting to piddle out a little bit okay. But in game, I mean, we haven't like officially raided since like May.
Wow.
Because we're kind of like, okay, we're done. Like everyone has their mount. Everyone pretty much has all their gear they want. So we've been kind of just taking a break until 6.0.
But you're hitting the beta pretty hard right now, right?
Yeah. Oh no. So we're doing beta testing and whatnot. The hard part is most of our guild is made up of adults with jobs. So it's like, oh look,
wait. Hold on a sec. You mean to say that the raid testing is happening at times where people might be at work?
I know. I mean, that's the thing. I think it's hilarious that people get all bent to shape. It's during work hours. I'm like, yes, that's because all the devs are at work.
Right, exactly.
What do you expect? Oh, let's make this just easier for you.
Yeah,
right.
Particularly being on the East Coast, it's a little bit trickier too sometimes. But I've made the ones I could. This week was a little bit tough. I had a lot of work travel. My next couple of weeks are going to be a little bit crazy with travel for work, but there's that. I've gone back to do Brawlers Guild. That's another thing I've been working on, but I won't do it in a DPS spec. I want to actually see truly how far I can get without going Shadow.
You're crazy.
Wow.
Well, it's a little bit difficult because there's some of the things that's like, you must interrupt this ability. And I'm like, but I don't have an interrupt.
Right.
And they're immune to fear and tendrils as well as everything else.
No. Oh, no. Well, I'm sure that we'll be talking about beta as we kind of go through the show a little bit more. So we'll get some more details from you as far as what you've been involved in. Now, Colt, you are literally in the beta right now.
Yes.
But what else? What else have you been up to in game? I guess.
I don't know what you mean by beta. I'm in Shadow Moon Valley. This is real, and I'm in Shadow Moon Valley, and there is a giant bird butt in my face behind me. So
I know.
That's fine. All right, so it's like a disco party over here.
It really is.
Tell you.
It really is. Maybe we shouldn't have told people where you were before.
Yeah, that's probably
the
not
show.
the best idea.
Right.
But,
kind of have Phoenix crotch.
I do. I got a lot of that going on, and that's totally cool. That's totes my goat. So here's there's a member of CTR.
Yeah.
By the name of Exclavior, Exclavior.
I know that name.
CTR.
I know that name. Yeah.
And he was on a podcast called The Converted. Now, The Converted is a show for any member of CTR. It is a Convert to Raid podcast. So if you are in CTR, you need to be listening to this podcast. Mm-hmm. They feature members and various like people in the guild, and it's just fantastic. And it's hosted by Bel Schnickel and Summer Sal. It's great. Anyway, so on his show, he did a song. And it was basically, he plays a mage. And I started out as a mage, right? From the vanilla days. I was a gnome mage. I was a gnome. I was, as they say, young and needed the mana.
Right.
And I started out, and I've kind of gone away from the mage a little bit, and I've been doing Windwalker and all that stuff. So, but I always bled blue. Like mage is in my blood, right?
Yeah.
So he wrote this song about, and it was so sad. It was about the character Koltrane, the mage, staring at me at the login character select, and like singing this sad song to me while I don't play him. Like I choose Wok Fu over him. And it was so sad because he had these lyrics. He's like, I know that you love me, but you won't be playing me in Warlords or something like that. I'm not a singer. He has like this incredible like voice. But anyway, so because of Exclavior, he kind of reminded me of my roots, right? Of the mage. So I think for Warlords now, as one of my mains, like, you know, you got your main, then you got like your main alt.
Yeah.
I might be going back and forth between Windwalker and now mage. I might be bringing back the mage.
Ways.
I go
That's
both
my takeaway.
ways. Yes, exactly. I will be going both ways in Warlords of Draenor. So it was just a big shout out to Exclavior. The song was like amazing and it was so great. And it's on The Converted, the latest episode. You guys should really check it out. But he brought me back, so I'm playing my mage again. And at the time when I logged off, he was like progression, right? Like we killed Lei Shen, you know, and he was all geared out. I logged in now. He's at like a 517 eye level. I'm like, ooh. He like barely qualifies for LFR now, you know? Right. But at the time, it was like, you know, you had good gear. So anyway, it's pretty good stuff. So big shout out to Exclavior. And also a quick thing in regards to the raid team.
Yeah.
They are looking for a rogue. We're looking for a rogue for Saturday morning. If you're in the mood to raid at 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning Pacific time, then the raid team known as Rectified is looking for you.
Are you talking about
Rectified? Yeah! Rectified.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
All right.
That would be it, my friend.
Gotcha. Well, I know that for me, it was kind of a different week for me as far as WoW goes, because over last weekend I was at PAX, right? and Blizzard was at PAX as well.
Right.
So they had Heroes of the Storm was there, and Hearthstone, and of course Warlords Beta was also there. And I got to talk to Nethera for a little bit, community manager for Blizzard, and had a great time. Got to talk to her, and she was really psyched. I want to tell you guys about this because it was really cool. Now, she was talking about how she was trying to entertain folks in line because the line was kind of weird, and basically at one point, people had nothing to look at except for a wall on one side and a wall on the other that were lining up to play Warlords. Right. So she was trying to go out there and talk to people and say, you're almost there. Once you go around this corner, you're going to see the marvel that is Warlords. And while she was doing it, she was talking to all these people that had been away from the game for a little bit. And she was totally stoked by these conversations that she was having with these people because they were talking about all the changes going on for Warlords, and they're like, "Oh, you got rid of this, but you're putting in this. This sounds really cool."
There's changes,
right? There's maybe a couple of changes.
What?
I don't know if you know
I don't
this.
believe you.
Right. But she was really energized by those conversations, and so I just wanted to tell you guys that people that have been away from the game for a little bit are looking into it and getting excited about it. So, and I think that just means better things for all the players of Warcraft, no matter who joins in, as long as we get some more folks join in, and maybe those guys that have been out of the game for a little bit. I think this is a perfect time to come back. So get ready, people.
Woo!
Get ready, people. And then the other thing was that after it was done, she's like, "Oh, I'm finally done with Pat." She was beat. I mean, her voice was pretty much gone.
Right.
It was great. But she's like, "Yep, now I just have to rest up for BlizzCon."
Yeah,
that's in like 2 months, guys.
I know. Wait, did I tell you? So, you know how last time I was on, I was like, "No, I'm not going," and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going.
Hey! Congratulations.
Yeah, I know.
Derevka.
That'll be good.
I was totally having FOMO.
That's good. I was kind of bummed that I wouldn't get to see you this year, but now I'll get to see you, so that's awesome.
Yeah. So I booked my ticket all on points. I booked my hotel all on points.
Nice.
And I snagged a ticket from a friend who had an extra. So I was like, all right, we'll go. Because I guarantee you, if I didn't go, I'd have been like, son of a...
Right. Actually,
I totally had like severe FOMO. So
that's funny because Sonova is one of my alt character names.
That's true.
That's true.
It's true. It's true. Anyway, but so you'll be coming to the party.
I will.
That we're throwing.
Are you guys going to have another air conditioner this time?
We're going to have a different room this time. With a taller ceiling, so we'll be able to get away with it.
Because if it's gonna be too hot, worst case scenario, just wear tank tops.
Sure.
Well, see, on you that'll look great. On the rest of the world, not so much.
Yeah, might be
any excuse. Might
be a little
Most
weird.
of the attendants of BlizzCon tank top might not look the best.
Right.
I'm guessing. Right. I don't know. I mean, maybe.
And by the way, for all those guys that are listening out there, I will probably have more stuff in the next week or two regarding the party that I want to talk to you guys about because we're planning this big thing. So I kind of want to make it a big announcement. I don't have it ready this week because I've been away at PAX and stuff like that. But I'm back, and I'm actually starting to work on my UI in game. Starting to work on my UI for 6.0 and beyond because it was a mess. As people that have seen my stream will attest to of Raid Night, it is a mess.
I gotta admit, it's pretty awful. I mean, my goodness. I mean, you can't. I don't know how you can't see the entire screen. It's all UI. It's unbelievable.
You basically have a DPS meter in giant text right in the middle of the screen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean that in a nice way, of course. I mean that in the sweetest, nicest way. But your UI is, my goodness, great.
It's gorgeous.
It's a little. It's got a lot going on, and so I'm trying to reduce some of that and trying to figure it out. So.
Right.
I'm playing with it, and I've been kind of streaming some of the changes that I've been making with the UI, and I don't know if it's going to stay that way or not, but I'm trying it, and I think this is a good time for everybody out there to maybe clean up your screen a little bit and really try to de-junkify whatever you've got going on for your visual cues. Now's a good time.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of baked in now that you don't necessarily need the additional add-on for.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, you really only need raid frames. No offense to the in-game raid frames, despite them being notably improved over some of the older ones, they're not nearly as customizable as, at least from a healing perspective.
Yep.
It's like I really can't see the timers of my HOTS as well as I would like to, and I don't really necessarily want to see an icon of it. I want the text of the countdown, and but there's a lot of stuff baked in. There's the spell alert graphics now.
Yep.
So that's a little bit better, but I still would use weak auras anyway, but that's just me.
Right. Yeah, I think that there are still a few add-ons that are really necessary, especially for healers out there. So you have your healing raid frames, whatever it is, and I know that you're a grid and click guy, and I have been a voodoo guy, but I might be switching over depending on what's going on with
Gotta
voodoo.
be careful. Voodoo has a massive memory leak.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
snap.
It does. Well, it's been transferred.
Well, you run it for more than half an hour, and then you look at your memory usage. It's now gotten notably bigger until you reboot.
Yep. So it's because it's changed hands a lot, and so there's a lot of different code. So yeah.
There's a lot of leakage from all the different changes.
There's some leakage.
There's some leakage.
So it's kind of interesting to kind of go through all that stuff again and really try to figure it out piece by piece what I'm doing for that.
It is.
All right. One other thing about BlizzCon. This week, was it this week that they announced virtual ticket is actually a thing, and it will be?
Yes.
I mean, we knew that already, right? I mean,
I didn't think people weren't expecting it. I didn't think it was going to be a surprise.
No, I didn't think it was going to be a surprise either. And everybody was like, "Oh, they finally announced virtual ticket." I'm like, "Yeah, it's going to be a thing."
It's good. I actually will be ordering the virtual ticket this year.
Right.
Actually, and it's so funny. We've talked about it before the show and not after the show, but not during. I will actually not be at BlizzCon this year.
I know.
You live in California.
I do live in California, but I'm also going to a wedding in California that exact same weekend. So unfortunately, I will not be able to go. It was pretty funny too, because not funny, but when I saw the date announced for BlizzCon, I'm like, boy, that looks familiar. That date's what's the deal? But anyway, it's my best bud since 5th grade. He's having a wedding. And I'm one of his groomsmen, so he's been there for me. I got to be there for him. But we already
sitting
talked
during the reception, on a mobile phone.
I know. So I've been talking to him. I'm like, you realize that's the same weekend as BlizzCon, right? He's like, no, man.
You realize this is a big deal now.
I know you're getting married, and I guess that's some type of big deal, but
that's kind of big and life changing. But this is BlizzCon we're talking about,
right?
Come on.
Exactly. So anyway, but yeah, so unfortunately I won't be able to attend BlizzCon this year, but I will be watching the virtual ticket, and I hope Zuggy got some kind of a stream or something going so we can tune in.
You can Skype in
either.
Hey,
to the party.
Yeah. Well, we're planning a bunch of big things for the party, and that is definitely on the menu. So
that's great. So I can get the reception and watching BlizzCon. So that'll be good. So
that will be good. All right, well, let's move on to the raid news.
Calling all raiders from around World of Warcraft land. This is raiding news.
Ah, yes, it's time to check out what's happening with raiding news around World of Warcraft. And first up, we have the live developer Q&A that happened just a couple of days ago. Now, this was lead game designer Cory Stockton and narrative designer Dave Kosak. And they answered a bunch of questions live on Twitch with the assistance of Josh Allen, aka Lore.
Yes.
Did you say Q&A? I thought it was a G&A.
What do you mean?
Garrisons and answers.
Oh,
that's what it was.
That's
it
a
was
zinger.
Garrisons.
Yeah, it was Garrisons.
That's pretty funny.
It was
I'm a funny guy. You just learned this?
That's right.
But it was mostly G&A. You're right.
It took TNA. Very different.
And it was mostly about kind of the lead up, right? So it was while you're questing, here's what's going to be going on with garrisons, and then maybe some answers about followers and blah, blah, blah. But I thought the more important things, especially for raiders out there, were when talking about professions and then talking about the legendary quests, because they did talk about both of those things. And the profession stuff is going to may actually affect how we do raiding a little bit, how the end game works, right?
Yeah.
So now, Derevka, do you know what's going on with the profession stuff?
Professions are for the most part almost moot. I mean, you can literally do everything. Like you can DE your own stuff in your garrison if you have the enchanting thing. I mean, I get it makes things a lot easier instead of necessarily needing a litany of alts to kind of support your habit.
Your habit.
I mean, like I have an alt that does everything.
Right.
I mean, well, not a single alt, but like I have a series of alts that have all the,
like all the recipes.
If I need a scribe to be able to like just literally mill, but like churn out Dark Moon cards to get my deck that I needed. I had 2 of them this expansion, so I could get that as soon as I could. Mm-hmm. The garrison kind of removes that kind of grindy aspect of like getting all your alts, secondary profession, or not secondary, but primary professions up to be able to support your main. I mean, that's as a nice kind of quality of life thing, because it felt, at least from a progression standpoint, almost obligated to kind of have that readily available to you.
Right.
Particularly if it was a item that had like a day cooldown, like the Dark Moon cards had a 1 day cooldown on creating them, unless you had the thingy that the moats.
Right. So yeah, it should be fairly interesting to see exactly how it gets used. But I mean, you're putting the power back into your main as far as all the different professions go, putting a little bit more power into there at least. Now, it sounds like if you have, let's say you have a primary profession of enchanting. Well, guess what? For your enchanting tower, if you have one in your garrison, you're going to be able to kind of speed through the quests and the cooldowns a little bit quicker than if you don't have enchanting.
Right.
But you'll still be able to do stuff no matter what.
Right. It's really interesting. Like if the example they used was like blacksmith. So let's say I'm a blacksmith.
Right.
So if I have a blacksmith building in my garrison, what that means is that will allow me to unlock the high-end recipes, right? All the good stuff. And also it'll speed up the daily cooldown. So in theory, really, you kind of almost want, and you don't have to, but you want to have a building of your primary profession in your garrison. Because like if I'm a blacksmith, I want to make the best weapons or the best armor. So I want to have a blacksmith in there. And also, since it's going to shorten the daily cooldown, that's even better. But you can also have like alchemy. And let's say I'm not an alchemist, I can still make potions. I just can't make the best potions. So it's kind of cool that I have an alchemy building. I'm a blacksmith. I can still make pots if I want, but probably not, I would assume, the high-end, flasks and stuff like that. So, but to go to Derevka's point, I love this because, here comes a new expansion. All right, well, this is my herbalist alt. This is my mining alt. I've got to level these up to level 100 so I can get the mats I need for my main, So I like that they'll kind of have these things available in your garrison. So that's good.
Yeah.
It makes things a lot easier from that perspective. I mean, like people are like, oh, garrisons are super easy. I mean, there's some things. I mean, there's the whole mythic gear, or like it have a minor source of being able to get gear up a level. That's a bit of a hot topic for a lot of people, I think.
What
I'm not a huge fan.
What is that exactly?
So it basically, utilizing your garrison, you essentially have a quote low chance or whatever that's going to be to get a item that is 1 tier above what you currently are rating. So if you're doing normals, it'll then give you access potentially to a heroic level item. And if you're doing heroics, it'll give you access potentially to a mythic level. And if you're already mythic level, it'll give you another mythic item plus some amount of gold or something, right?
Right.
So everyone's like, oh, but that's just garrisons aren't a thing. You don't worry about it. You can log in once a day and just do it and then log out. I mean, but either way, it's just 5.0 dailies in a different costume, right?
Kind of
adding additional, but just particularly for the early level, the early expansion grind. That's kind of the thing. Like the standard things that exist, like profession grinding for your craftable, helm for engineers and whatnot, and getting your enchants and your patterns and whatnot there. But kind of is that necessarily the most interesting or fun or best feature to be able to do that? I don't think so. And it's not like developing your garrison to that high level to be able to get that item is easy. It certainly isn't. I mean, you still have to, like, when you first start developing your garrison, you have these short, fast garrison quests that are like, okay, this one's 2 hours. And then that's the only quest that's available to you at that point in time. And you can't progress past that until that quest is completed. So it's a little grindy at the front end and almost a bit maintenance-y, at lack of a better word, to kind of get your garrison up and running till you get to that top end, to kind of give you the option to do that weekly one. It's just, I don't think of gear acquisition from garrisons, regardless of if you're top 10, top 20, top 100, a mythic level raider is always going to do what is going to min-max their gear for the most part.
Right.
And I hate throwing on any level of obligation to something that garrisons were supposed to be optional and kind of this easy thing. And I think there's a really great post, and I'll share the link, that Ash from Temerity threw up on the BattleNet forums, that basically says, can garrisons do fine on their own without adding this mythic gear drop? And I think that's 100% yes. Garrisons would work fine without the mythic level gear drop. Like, even if it's just like the lower gear, giving access to mythic just feels wrong to me. And it would have no tangible effect on the popularity of people doing garrisons or not.
But what you're talking about is those guys that are mythic raiders, especially the competitive mythic raiders, and about feeling the need that they have to do something that isn't about raiding. And
farms.
Right. And so, and that's going to come up again because, and I agree with you. I think that for mythic raiders that are competitive, it's kind of weird because you want to make sure that you're spending your time wisely in game at all times. You want to maximize your time spent in game. And there's another thing that popped up, and it's further down on the show notes, but I want to bring it up here as long as we're talking about it. There have been, and we see this in Myths as well, but there was on the black market auction house a mythic Warforged gear found on there, and that can kind of throw the game off a little bit too, is for those mythic competitive, really super competitive raiders trying to figure out how to spend your time the best way. If this is going to pop up all the time, well, okay, now all of a sudden I have to play the auction house a lot more, get my bankroll up and all that kind of stuff, and still do all the garrison stuff, and still do all the other. I mean, so for those guys, and I understand that this is a small portion of the population here, but for those guys, it is on the front end really heavy.
Yeah, but that's no different than what it was currently with the black market auction house. You still had the option of having stuff. It wasn't tier gear, but stuff would still randomly show up, and it would be funny to watch like people like literally camping it and try to buy it. But I don't know. For me, it's just like the garrisons dropping it just seems different than the black market.
It's a different
house.
Grind, right? I mean, so it's with the black market auction house, it's going to be a little bit more by chance. Right, you're going to
getting a legitimate piece of like mythic gear from a random chance from a garrison quest, even if it's a weekly, right, is different than, okay, I've now developed my farm and now I can produce my own 300 stat food. It's materially different than that, than even getting coins to do your additional chance, because the only way you get to use that coin is if you actually did the boss fight and used it. It's materially different than, oh, look, you did a random quest and luck happened to have it. Like, and it's not you did a random quest. You sent some random follower, and then you basically, played a slot machine, and ding 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 ding. Here's a mythic ring or whatever. It just feels it takes the weird RNG.
So it kind of, you feel like it takes the power out of your own.
Takes the power from the play than it is just from a lottery.
Yeah.
It's like logging in and, oh, look, you logged in today, and here's a free item.
I get it, but I still like it.
Because you like loot.
Because I like loot.
Loot!
Right.
Loot! Like, I'll do a happy dance if I log in, and like, oh, sweet, I got a mythic item just for doing my garrison weekly. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll like having the item. I just don't think it's the best answer for gameplay.
Yeah. I get it. I don't know. Colt, do you have any other opinions on this particular thing, or
wait, what was that? What?
Are you listening to the? Yeah.
Oh yeah, we liked lore better than Morgan Webb.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Is that right?
There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay. Good.
I would actually agree. I thought Lord
than Morgan Webb.
I thought Lord did a great job. By the way,
he did. Let me tell you real quick. I'm just going to say this super fast.
Yeah.
I like having one of us in there interviewing these Blizz guys. Now, of course, Lord does work for Blizzard, but he plays the game. He's into the game.
Right.
So he can ask follow-up questions versus kind of read off a sheet. You know what I mean? Morgan Webb is incredible. Like, she's incredibly talented. She's wonderful. She's great. But I like that there, at least with Lore, there's a chance of that follow-up question. Like, he actually understands what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really like that. So I'm glad that Blizzard has been using Lore in this kind of factor, and I hope they use more of him in the future, because he's very talented with this kind of thing. And I'm glad that they're using him, and I hope they use more of him.
And by the way,
he's smart. Yeah.
And I know that Lore has been doing a lot more streaming lately, and also he's been podcasting with Mike B again, which is really great.
Which is awesome.
It's awesome. So it's good to see him out in the streaming and podcasting community a lot. So yeah, thank you, Lore, for that. Hey, the other thing that I wanted to mention briefly is about the legendary rings, the questing for that, and because this will affect raiders out there. Not this so much that you're going to be working with Khadgar. Big surprise. You start working with them in the beginning, and you're going to be working with them for the ring.
And here you go.
Right, exactly. But the other thing is that there are not going to be any PvP elements to the ring quest, and I know a lot of people are like,
yeah.
A lot of people didn't like the PvP quest so much. So, I don't know.
A lot of that was a bit of an echo chamber, though. I mean, I lucked out. I did each of the PvP things once, and I was done. And I had no PvP gear. I'm not on a PvP server. I just went in, we just kind of did it.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was just like, oh, I shouldn't be doing PvP. And it's like, yeah, we shouldn't be doing PvP. Yeah, I agree with that. So they've got this big echo thing going on. I don't think it was as bad as people really kind of made it out to be.
Right.
You're crazy.
Madness.
Sorry, go on.
Community completely went overboard. No, that never happens.
Especially on the forums, on the internet. No, nothing ever.
I mean, I get the whole, if it's a PvE item, I should only have to do PvE for it. I get it.
Right.
I just think that people kind of really painted it and demonized it a bit more than necessary.
Yeah.
You're crazy. It was awful. Are you out of your mind?
Two BGs. Two BGs. Yes. I can't believe it.
Listen,
I'm just not.
Apparently, you're not playing Alliance because Alliance never wins BGs. So come on. Well, at least
Alliance.
I know you are Alliance, but I was part of those. What? Because this is a PvE thing, and I understand. Look, it's PvP. We want to get us involved, and maybe some people in doing this were like, man, I had such a great experience doing this for PvP. I'm going to now do PvP all the time.
Who said that?
Right.
Well, no one. Right. But I'm just saying that, like, I understand trying to get gamers and PvEers to try something different. But for me, a PvE thing, that should be PvE, baby. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be going into these battlegrounds and that my completion of this quest is held up by 10 or 12 other people that are also not in PvP gear who have no idea what they're doing. Like, it stopped progression for a lot of people, and that was frustrating.
That was
another thing that stopped progression was the gather 6,000 Valor.
Oh, geez.
And I know that got reduced down to like 3,000 or something.
Yeah.
But I believe they are also removing that part of it as well.
Right.
That there won't be some major grind, gather 3,000, Valor or whatever it would be.
Well, and especially with Valor, because there won't be any Valor.
Well, yes, but there won't be like gather 3,000 lesser charms of good fortune. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, the Valor thing was just artificial method of throttling how fast people could get it.
Right.
It was just a way to extend how long the quest line could happen. And it's like, okay, we now know it's at least 6 weeks because you can only cap at 1,000 a week. It was just an artificial barrier at that point.
Yeah,
it's not necessary now because I shouldn't say most, a majority of players who want their legendary cloak probably already have it.
I would say a majority of raiders already have it.
Raiders. That's probably a fairer way to articulate it. But I mean, it was just an artificial barrier to entry at that point because you didn't want, you have the, top 10% of raiders that will, if you had no cap or if it was only 1,000 or you didn't have 6,000, you would just see everybody grinding it out that first day.
Right.
And it would have been useless. So why not create this artificial barrier to extend how long this quest line is to kind of entice people to play.
Yeah.
Sure.
And also keep in mind that when this legendary thing was first happening, they were tied kind of with the patches. So it didn't feel as much like a grind because you were just playing your character. You know what I mean? Like it was do this and then like at the beginning and you were just gathering valor anyway. And then, the new patch, here's the new part of the legendary quest. Where it becomes a big problem now is when, we're here and you've still got all these steps to do. And that's why it feels like such a grind. I kind of feel that at the beginning when it first came out, it didn't feel as grindy, I think, obviously as it does now.
Yeah, I know that I'm doing it. I'm doing the quest on my elemental shaman. And I'm at the 3,000 valor thing. And I'm like, when does 6.0 hit? Because that's when all the valor stuff goes away on that quest. Or for that entire quest, and then it's just, hey, free ride, awesome. Now I get to move on to the next step, which I think is grinding out more crap anyway. But
I like the little instances that you had to do that kind of really progressed the story of what you were doing a little bit more.
Yeah.
Than gather 100 bear pelts,
right? Or gather the sigils of wisdom and all that kind of stuff. I mean, kind of random raid drops, which
was heartbreaking.
Which is fine because I mean, at least I was raiding anyway. But now I'm having to go back with alts, and it really feels very random and random in a bad way. Like I am not getting any drops, all that kind of stuff. So. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things.
Less grindy is good, though. I'm excited about the legendary thing. One other quick thing that I thought was kind of interesting was Dave Kosak was talking about the different things that they've tried out.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about the questing areas and all that stuff are going to be very similar to the Timeless Isle experience, where you're going to be on a quest and then what's this shiny over here to the left, or there's this rare mob. Let me go kill that. And it was kind of interesting when he was talking about how they experimented throughout this expansion with different ways to increase the player experience. Like they started out with the dailies, which they admitted was not the best way to go. But then he reminded me, do you remember the Battlefield Barons?
Yeah.
Do you remember that business?
Yeah.
Right? Remember that?
That was
and
cool.
then that's gone. Like I remember doing that. Now that's gone. So they finally, through this journey, ended up on the Timeless Isle. And I think that's been a pretty positive thing, I think, for players. And that'll continue into Warlords. But I just remembered, I'm like, the Battlefield Barons. And then at first it was the dailies. And they really did do a lot of experimentation with this expansion to try and, make the best experience possible for the players.
And negative Nancy, I didn't like the Battlefield Barons because it was just like, quick, this boss popped up over here. So now this group of 30 people are going to fly over there. And then, the gnome, the goblin bomber guy, and everyone picks up and goes over there. And then you got your coins for the week and you ported back and that was it.
Well, but I think one of the cool things, and to address your concerns from a Mythic Raider point of view about the garrisons being a questing hub and stuff like that, one of the things that was said was that from a questing standpoint, it's going to be more along the lines of, hey, your garrison will point you in this direction, and once you get there, it will kind of diversify your experience with whatever zone you're in, because you'll be able to pick up these kind of random quests along the way, and you'll find rare mobs, and you'll find, I mean, it sounds like the questing part of it is going to be a lot more exploratory anyway.
Right.
So while we're leveling up, I think we'll have a good time. But it's just kind of how fast do we level that garrison up while we're questing, and where does that put us once we hit 100? What do we have to do to make sure that we're maximizing our gameplay all the time?
Did you guys level on data?
I did not. No. Uh-uh.
I did it a couple of times, and after the character wipe, I survived 2 of the character wipes, and I was like, I'm not doing it again. I mean, it's different. It definitely feels much more of a storyline than I think it has in a long time.
Good.
And it felt more connected zone to zone. Whereas in Mists, like you started and then, okay, I'm going to help the water guys for a little while, and then I'm going to leave them, and I'm going to run into this young Pandaren and her grandfather, and then I'm going to help them, and then I'm going to leave them at the farm and go somewhere else and deal with that. It felt much more of a linear progression from zone to zone.
Good. That's
awesome. Yeah,
that's great.
It was one of whoever's in charge of that. The quest stories. I mean, it's not quite. I guess it kind of falls a little bit into the lore aspect and that team, but it felt much more cohesive, I guess, is a better way of saying it. So it just felt better.
That's
warm
great.
fuzzies and all that good stuff.
Cool. Cool. Hey, before we move on, I wanna take some time and thank the new sponsor of our show, which is Harry's.com. Now, it's kind of weird to go from talking about WoW to talking about shaving. It really is. But and it's kind of a weird break, but it's cool. So if you guys don't know about Harry's.com, these guys offer razors for high quality shave, and so I was sent this package. Gary Gannon sent me this package, and he's like, check it out. And I'm like, okay. So I open up the package, and it comes with some cards, and it comes with like a little how to get the best out of your shave and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. And so, but it comes with okay. I'm opening it up, and I've actually tried it out. I tried it out today for the very first time. I'll tell you about it in a second. But it comes with the razor right there. And it comes with some shave cream, of course. And it comes with a couple of blades.
This is like an unboxing video.
I know, it's
this
like an
amazing.
unboxing. So it comes with a couple of blades as well.
Is that the new iPhone 6? Is that what that
and
is?
It comes with an iPhone 6. No, it comes with a bunch of stuff. And I tried it out today. And seriously, it was awesome. It was really cool. And great shave. It was probably the closest shave I've had in a long time.
So baby smooth. I'm gonna go get right now.
My face is so smooth. It is like a baby's bottom. Let's say it like that. No, but it's great. And the great part about this, the starter set is an amazing deal. It's $15. It gets you all the stuff that is in the box that I just showed you. The razor, the shaving, and you get the box too. So that's cool. But the way that they've done this is they've been able to kind of rip a lot of the stuff that costs money out of the system, so that they can pass the savings along to us, right? And on average, they say that the everyday shaver saves $150 each year by going through Harry's.com. That's pretty good. I mean, because
there you go.
When I go to the big box stores, it's ridiculous. You look at just blades, and you're like, oh my god, what? So
4 blades, $20.
But they manufacture them themselves with German engineering. Yes, German engineering. Mm-hmm. And they have the effective business model, all that kind of stuff. So go to Harrys.com, and you can get $5 off your first purchase with the promo code GameBreaker.
Wait, what was that promo code again?
It's the promo code is GameBreaker, and it's at Harrys.com. HARRYS.com. $5 off just with the promo code GameBreaker. Okay.
Oh, that's it. The beard's going away. That's it. I'm sold.
The beard is going away, folks.
There it is.
No,
awesome.
That's not happening.
Awesome.
No, it's too awesome.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what else is going on. Now, we have talked I'm scrolling through my notes because we messed it up. A lot of it. We kind of like threw a bunch of stuff.
I messed it up. I decided to go out of order.
That's right. That's right. But we do have a bunch of different updates from the beta. And I think first one is patch 6.0.2 coming to PTR soon. Trademark. Of course, it's trademarked. But that means that we're getting closer to actually seeing it on live, right, fellas?
It's on its way, baby.
I mean,
PTR.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, think about it. So BlizzCon release are what, a little over 2 months away.
Yeah.
You'll have to have 6.0 at some point in time just to give people the opportunity to adjust, if anything, just for raid sizes.
Right.
Because that comes in 6.0 as well.
Yeah. See, yeah. So all the mythic stuff comes in 6.0, which means that we have to drop our 25 man down to 20, which is kind of hard. I think there are going to be some tough decisions for everybody to make, but it sounds like, I mean, usually how long does something live on the PTR before it's released into live? It's usually like a few weeks, right?
Usually a few weeks. I mean, they've done stuff quick before too. They've also done stuff really long. I mean, I would imagine this to be fairly quick because 6.0 effectively is the same structure that's on beta, which has already been fairly tested well as is. I mean, just structurally, not the content of the Warlords, but structurally it'll be. I mean, we've had a lot of it already. Like Flex essentially is already in game,
right?
So there's not much really to. It's really
there's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be the class changes that go in. There's going to be the mythic changes that go in, and those are really the big things for this one. Yeah. Plus all the world events and stuff like that, right?
6.0 Rise of the Resto Druid.
Yeah, I like it. Yes. I like it because
Fall of the Warlock. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that the Warlocks finally might be getting to the ground, baby. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh boy,
I don't know.
I get to go holy. Yay!
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think from a healing standpoint, I'm kind of really interested to see what's going on. I know that there are a bunch of things like we'll talk about the tank squish coming up a little bit. Right. But yeah, it's going to be kind of a different.
Stop complaining about disc priests and paladins.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to not complaining about my HOTS not being able to actually fire off on anybody because of disc priests.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I think the disc thing is funny. I mean, like, the disc problem is the incredible amounts of crit that's available and the level 90s capping. Well, Divine Star specifically. I mean, Halo and whatnot, but it's really Divine Star. That's the problem. I mean, everyone's like, oh my God, Spirit Shell is now a talent. The world is coming to an end. And I was like, yeah, but now you actually get to choose when you want to use Spirit Shell and when you don't.
Right.
It's not the end of the world. Like some fights, you kind of just use Spirit Shell on cooldown and throw it out. And other fights, like, it ties in really well with this boss ability. So make a choice. I mean, everyone's kind of screaming and yelling about it. But I'm just really excited about being able to play Holy, despite not having any multi-strike gear, because multi-strike is awesome as Holy, but...
I can tell you've been doing some spreadsheet stuff from the beta because you're all about it.
Awesome. Because multi-strike is amazing. It's just fun.
All right.
One quick thing too, when 6.0 actually hits live, Garrosh Hellscream, I believe, will have 100% drop rate on heirlooms, right?
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
I won't say cheese, but you can kind of force it to drop what you want it to drop to.
Now?
No. So there's always a guaranteed, like, your spec heirloom.
Yeah.
So you always hard part is, like, some classes you can't force the desired heirloom, even if it's for your class.
Okay.
So if your class can win one of two heirlooms, you really can't control which one you're guaranteed to win. So, like, if you have
a workaround,
offhand, no. Like, so for example, like caster DPS, maybe you don't get the staff.
So what you're saying is, if you set your preference to be something other than the spec that you're going in as, you have a very likely chance of getting it. Is that right? Okay.
Right. I mean, the problem is like, so if you're a rogue and you want the dagger, you have to make sure that you're flagged as I think it's assassination and subtlety. I had to double check my notes. Or it'll just end up with the agility mace that your monk got 2 weeks ago. Right. So you just got, like, if you want to, I want the daggers. So you got to, like, make sure that you're I think it's assassination and subtlety. Don't quote me on that, but let's pretend it's assassination and subtlety. Otherwise, you'll get a mace, and I already had the mace because my monk did it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, that's cool.
That's awesome, man. No, I'm excited about that. 100% drop rate is great. You down Garrosh, no heirloom. Like, oh, geez.
Right.
They're fun to level with.
I've only gotten one. I've
I've gotten my mace 3 times.
Yeah, I got it twice on my Resto Druid, but well, I don't know.
Or dual hand caster maces.
Other stuff coming from the beta. Other quick updates is that Mythic raid testing continued this week, as we kind of talked about on the top of the show. We had 3 on Thursday, 3 on Friday, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce the names anymore. I'm just not going to do it.
Don't even bother.
I'm not going to do it. It's crazy. There
was a difference in all the bosses. I thought that was just the tanks have to taunt on the debuff.
I think all they do is they put in like a handful of vowels into a bag, and they say, okay, these are the only vowels that we can use on the entire raid instance.
And apostrophes.
All over the place. So I don't know. Now, Derevka, you said you have been doing some raid testing, right?
Yeah, for when I can, because I work, 8 to 5, 8 to 6, depending on how busy my day is, or if I'm not on the road. Like this week I was on the road a lot, and next week I'll be on the road a lot, and then the week after that I'll be on the road a lot, and then the week after that I'll be on the road a lot. And then I have like 2 weeks up in Boston, which is amazing. But no, I mean, trains, that was a cool fight. I did not do it because I was traveling, but I did watch a friend of mine. I didn't ask permission to say who it was, but a friend of mine's stream as they did it. Like that was was it Thorgar? Is basically like a train station, and the trains come in, and if you get hit by the train, you die, because if you get hit by a train, you would die. And there's different things. The only thing, though, is I really feel bad for the tanks, because it feels that their gameplay is really kind of seems boring, because it's like, oh, taunt at 2 debuffs, and then I'll pick up the ads.
Right.
It was just like, oh, look, yet another fight where there's a debuff that forces you to dual tank with taunts.
Right.
So
and maybe we should talk about this now before we move on anymore. And that is about the upcoming tank squish. Actually, it might be in game now, or be on the beta now. And that is that Celestalon went on to the forums and was talking about how tanks are doing too well. They're doing too well, guys. You guys are too good. So we're gonna squash you.
Right. Well, one of the issues is that a tank could use a cooldown and just like take the damage and like ignore mechanics. Like tanks were
always been a thing, though.
That's true. That's very true. But I don't know. Apparently, it got to be just absolutely ridiculous. Where these bosses, these tanks had like 1 million some health, and they use these mechanics, and they just blow right through it.
And they had their cloak that saved them.
Right.
Yeah, ICD. Oh, prevented a killing blow. It's like, look, you had built-in Guardian Spirit. That's awesome. I mean, they basically just go, oh, tank survivability is down intentionally, but we're kicking resolve up several fold, which is awesome. Thek did a phenomenal. I think I have the image saved. He did a really good. I can't post this to chat, but I will post it in Skype, and you can post it to chat because I do not have admin. Did a really great kind of illustration of. I mean, it's using current data, kind of showing the new resolve plotted over time versus old resolve and vengeance. So it's really it's notably better, but also a little bit spikier in comparison. But the long and short of it is that tank survivability is going to be down, which means the healers need to pay notable more attention to the tanks outside of just letting passive smart heals like Atonement or even simply Beacon. Just like, oh, we have 2 paladins in raid. We'll just put the Beacon on the primary tank, and we'll let them just kind of stay alive that way, and their passive healing and their own mitigation. And it's funny because they're like, oh, active mitigation, that's the best thing ever. And they're like, oh, we're going to go ahead and play active mitigation down a bit, because the healers need to pay attention to the tanks, which has kind of been foreign for the last expansion and a half. Like you used to actually now have to, okay, we need to make sure at least 2 healers are focused on the tank and everyone else on the raid.
I kind of miss those days too, right? So I mean, it's like
totally
where you have that tank healer that's like the guy that's going to keep the tank alive, or 2 in 25 man, where you're really kind of concerned about this stuff, and it hasn't been the case for pretty much all of Mists of Pandaria, except for maybe right at the beginning. But that was about it. And right now, I can walk away from it. We can have, heroic fights going on where we ignore the tanks until it's a problem. And then we go, okay, well, we have to have somebody maybe keep an eye on them.
Yeah, I mean, it's better. I think it's better for the healing game. I mean, it was weird because our primary tank, at least currently, is playing a Death Knight. So it was kind of like, oh, Shira has the boss. Blood strike, blood strike, blood strike.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was no big deal. And when the tank actually died, it was like, oh crap, what seriously went wrong? And then it was like and you could actually hear Shira unmumble, oh, I'm wearing DPS gear. And you could hear him kind of like laughing about it because you didn't even need to.
Right.
It was that big of an issue. Like, I'm wearing DPS gear because I wanted to, or I stood in that to get like, how often did you see that? Like, oh, I stood in that ability just to get vengeance.
Right.
Like on I'm blanking on the name. I haven't rated in too long. I can't remember. What's the boss in Siege that has the orbs that with the shield absorb, and then you stand in the blood fury? Malkrok. Thank you. Or like you'd oftentimes have like a single tank soak it just for the incredible amounts of vengeance they would gain.
Right.
Just give me a cooldown. I'll soak it, and then
the
just
tank game has gotten
in the face.
The tank game has gotten ridiculous, and now it's kind of nice to see them go. Maybe we should reduce the effectiveness of all of your mitigation stuff and all of your. I mean, essentially, in this big long post, Celestalon said that the amount of armor on everything is being reduced. The abilities that increase maximum health have been reduced. The abilities that passively reduce damage taken are reduced. Active mitigation is reduced. Long cooldown temporary defensive buffs have been reduced in effectiveness, and they're changing resolve. But on top of that, they're also saying we're also knocking the bosses back a lot to make up for that. So you shouldn't necessarily feel
like
it.
It's not going to be one shot,
right?
But you can't just be like, don't worry, I got a couple cooldowns to go. You take care of or you battle res this person and so you go run over and handle whatever, because some of the abilities you have to run across the room or whatever. But
now, Colt, you've actually tanked a little bit in Siege, right? So
yes, oh yes, good old heroic dark shaman. I'm the third tank, baby.
Nice.
Placing walls. Know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yes.
Right. So has it been pretty easy? I mean, from a tank perspective, to really make sure that you're on top of your health anyway, as far as that goes.
Well, I mean, again, I'm speaking from live, and I'm also up top on Heroic Dark Shamans, which is the easiest way to tank, apparently, in the game. Like, if I was taken down below, you got the puddles, you got the little oozes. That's a real pain. But up top, I just place walls. That's all I do. I place walls.
It's not bad. I mean, from a healing perspective, it's a little bit tougher. But from a tanking perspective, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I thought you just used Divine Star and give everyone DAs during the upper part.
Depends on your comp, right?
Right, exactly.
I don't know.
No, but I'm glad that, I mean, this is a major tank squish, and I think I liked it that Celestalon really pointed out, this is all tanks are getting this. It's not just you. Right. So the don't nerf me, bro, like that's happening to all tanks. In fact, in the chat room I saw earlier, it said don't squish me or stat squash me, bro, or something. It was pretty good. But so this is across the board for all tanks. This is happening to all tanks. And like we said earlier, all creatures. So I think this is kind of going more in line with what they were talking about. Like right now, as it is, there are these boss abilities that will take a player from 100% health to 10% health in one shot. And because of that, healers always have to keep everybody topped off, and it's like a whole new thing. So this way, remember they were talking about like, you're not going to have like one shot abilities like you might, but it's going to be more kind of in the middle. You know what I mean? You'll kind of ride that wave of health, a little bit smoother damage going out. So I'm hoping, and I'm glad that they're kind of doing this. This is a big thing for tanks. So so we'll see, man.
I think making the gameplay interesting again for the support side of things is going to be good, and I think that might offset that, taunt on 2 debuffs or whatever the hell it is for each boss. Yeah, just taunt on 2 stacks, we'll be fine.
But I wonder, like, how are you going to make tanking more interesting? Isn't that what tanks kind of do? I mean, they were talking about trying to make gameplay for tanks more interesting, but like, I mean, with active mitigation, that really helps out. That makes it more interesting. But hasn't it always kind of been like, all right, when he does this ability, taunt off me at 2 stacks, taunt,
Well, it's more than just stand in one place, though. I mean, a lot of the bosses have okay, you need to make sure that the boss is over here and pull them through.
Right.
This thing. So, for example, one of the testing things just the other day, you actually could drag the boss through this kind of spewing fire pillar.
Right.
And it kind of stopped him from what he was doing for a moment. So you could kind of interrupt an ability that he was doing and you utilize that. And so the point of bringing them over and positioning, I think it's all about positioning the boss and really kind of, if I have threat, he is focused on me. Right. And I have his entire attention and I am going to move him and manipulate the boss in the environment that is the fight encounter. And use that versus just like, I'm going to stand and tank and spank and whatever. Don't get me wrong, there will be tank and spank fights. I'm sure of it. Because not every fight can be like, okay, if I drag him over this ability or I bring him through this and dealing with ads. I mean, ads are only so engaging.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's
just throw beer things at them. And
it's kind of like Immersius is the new Patchwork, essentially, right? I mean, there's ads, sure, but I mean, it's basically kind of tank and spankish.
Right. Well, and Crimson said too, like Black Fuse, add tanking in the blades, and that's true.
Yeah,
Fusecrafter. Tank the dudes right there.
That's a great example. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
One quick thing I found in the beta watching a stream, an actual use for life grip.
What?
Yes, like in a raid encounter, I found an actual use for life grip.
I don't get that.
And it's during I think it was the Black Hand fight.
Yeah.
In Black Hand, he does this thing where he punts you.
Yeah.
Yes. So what happens is there's like this lava or like this bad stuff that's coming around the outer circle, the sides, and then he punts the tank. Well, when he punts the tank, a priest needs to life grip the tank back onto the platform so he doesn't land in the lava.
Wow. Just make sure you don't use the glyph that makes you go to them.
Oh,
right. Yes,
that one I'm very excited about.
Yeah, that would be That would be bad.
But I love it. It was an actual use for life grip. I saw that, and it was like I was watching Sloot Bags, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, use life grip," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, life grip! Like this is brilliant." So an actual use for life grip besides trolling
people.
Yeah, besides trolling. So that was wonderful.
I mean, right now with some symbiosis, I always symbiosisize, as I like to say it, a priest because I want life grip just to troll people. That's it. Right. That's the only reason to do it.
I can't believe you can use life grip in bird form.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
If you our druid does that all the time. Like he'll be in flight form and he'll have like I'll always like I actually have a weak aura when I have symbiosis just to know if Oxy is going to try to life grip somebody up into the air and kill them.
Nice. I like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's a raider in our team named Boone, and he always trolls with the life grip thing. Like we'll be fighting, and then you'll see him go up the ladder up to this top ledge, and you're like, "Uh-oh, here it comes!"
Right. The best part with life grip was in like when there's what was that boss in last expansion where you had the first fight where you had to run in and there was the elevator, you go down, then people would like use rocket boosts and then their parachute to get all the way across the zone. I would grip people back like, no, if I have to take the elevator, so do you.
Right. Well, there's a good one actually in the ads before Galacrast. There's those bombs. So Boone would like to life grip you onto the bomb. Yeah, into the mine, right? And then boom! So yeah, it's good times.
I like it. More ways to troll people. That's what we need. That's what we need. And I'm kind of upset that symbiosis is going to be a thing of the past now.
Are you really?
With that description? Yeah.
But I don't know. All the druids are like, symbiosis should give me something that's just like so amazing and overpowered. And I
don't care. I just want to make people, not be able to do whatever they want to do and do what I want them to do.
Yeah, but symbiosis was weird, right? I mean, come on, it was just weird.
It's totally weird. It's totally weird.
Awesome.
I'm fine with it though. Does what I want it to do. So, but now we're seeing. I guess so. Now we're seeing all these class things happening within these raids, and maybe this is what they're talking about when it comes to mythic raiding. This is why we're having a 20-man mythic team, and this is why we want a balanced composition so that we can do all of these things that will be required of us in these different raid encounters. So that's cool, man. I like that.
Just reroll and be a priest, and you'll have life grip all you want.
All right, I'll do it. No.
Every 2 minutes.
No, I don't think so. Now, there was something else that I wanted to bring up, and we've been going around our notes. And seriously, I built the show a certain way, and it's gone totally to hell.
Yeah, it's all. I'm literally scrolling through show notes, like where are we going now?
Heck are we?
We haven't talked about this.
Well, we haven't talked about this, and this was something that that Laura was talking about this week, and that was with the removal of Valor, and he said that we're planning, of course, to take the Test of Valor out of the legendary quest, but along with that, are item upgrades for the rest of this expansion.
Coins.
Right? So for the rest of this expansion, it's looking like you'll be able to use lesser charms of good fortune instead of Valor, because you won't have it. So I think this is cool. I wish they would have done this first, actually. I wish they would have done this instead. And it's going to be like,
early on, it did not rain coins like it did when the Timeless Isle came out.
Right. I get your meaning. Yeah. So when the Timeless Isle came out, I wish they would have just switched to coins right away, because that was awesome. I
have.
How many do you have?
More coins? I don't even know. Thousands still.
47,000 coins.
That's a lot of coins.
I didn't say 47,000. I said thousands still. Oh, okay. You're making up numbers now.
Yeah.
No, it's probably somewhere around like 4,000, I think.
Wow.
Give or take. Because what am I going to do with them?
Right.
I like the coins when I'm like just killing mobs, like leveling up, and then I get coins. Like I like coins when I just get them. That's great. Yeah. But right now, I'm just killing frogs. Like frogs. And now with this, they're gonna be camped even more. Right. And I know I'm gonna accidentally get that poison to 10 stacks, and I'm gonna die. That happens to all of us. I know that happens to you.
You can't shuffle that off, can you?
No, you can't. You cannot, sir. You cannot.
No, it's happened to me more than once.
Right, but I'll bet 4 Mimiron's heads that frog group is going to be just covered with people farming coins.
And for those guys that can't see, that are not watching the video, he's got 4 Mimiron heads actually floating behind him, which is crazy.
It's nuts over here. It's insane.
And naked people and Mimiron's heads. That's all we got.
This is like my ideal life. This is like my fantasy going on right now. This is unbelievable. This is crazy. This is actually what goes on in my mind at all times. Is this?
Wow,
really
that's what's crazy.
Wife.
Wow.
Yes, I know, my poor wife. I know. Sorry, honey.
Love you. Mean it.
Love you.
Oh man. Let's see what else. You know what? I think that's it for news for this week. I have no idea what's going on.
Well, we got the old silver for the heroic stuff.
Oh, right. So the other thing was that Watcher came out and said that on the beta right now, it's live. We knew about this going into it, that you would have to participate in the whatchamacallit? What is it called?
Grounds.
Yeah, the Proving Grounds. And you'd have to get a silver to be able to access heroics in random mode. So if you go to your random grouping thing, it wouldn't be available until you had a silver at least.
Right.
So
you can still do pre-made.
Yeah, you can still do pre-made, but you just can't do random. It's
a quality of life for the other 4 people.
Yes,
it's not, because the whole point of it is all right. If I'm committing to do a random dungeon with people who I don't know, I want to make sure that the other 4 people I'm doing with aren't just slapdash, have no idea how to play their class. That's no fun for everybody, particularly if it's a tank or a healer.
That happens enough during leveling anyway.
Right. And you know, it's just frustrating to be like, okay, we've done this, and now, don't get me wrong, like I have no problem dealing with like, oh, this is a new tank. I'm not gonna, it's not gonna be quite as fast, but I want to at least be able to know that they know where their taunt key is. They know how to interrupt, particularly if there's abilities to interrupt. They know how to heal. I think it's really just more of a making sure that people will probably still troll. Trolls will be trolls regardless of what the situation is, but it's really more of a nice kind of guarantee. If you're like, I'm going to do this random, I want to roll the dice and play with people I don't know, regardless of the bonus that I may get from that, if it's a satchel or whatever. I'm still going to make sure that it's going to be at least some of an enjoyable experience. And silver, albeit is a little bit of a challenge, regardless if it's your primary spec or not, still isn't as difficult as like 30 wave gold.
Yep. Well, and it does have to be in the spec that you want to queue for. So if you are a hybrid, you need to make sure that you're doing the right one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But with silver, at least you know that they know what they're doing. You know, and like Derevka was saying,
it's not super difficult.
Some basic stuff.
But like an example was I was talking to Darius and he was talking about LFR, like the LFR in the WAD beta. So average DPS in WAD beta right now in LFR 5, 6K, 7 or 8. There were people in there doing like 200 DPS, like 200. You know what I mean? Like they didn't know really what they were doing. There was also a healer, and I think he was in LFR with you, Pat, where he was talking about, he's like, what the heck, this healing? It's so hard for me to keep everybody topped off all the time. Yeah. And like, that's not how it works in Warlords of healing.
That's not how it works anymore. So don't worry about it.
It's different. It's changed. So that is that random situation. So I like it that with silver, they have to obviously complete and know this new healing method. They have to complete the new DPS standard. So they're going to be doing around 5, 6, 7K to complete silver.
Right.
So when you're queuing with random strangers, you know that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's going to be great.
And I think
I'm really excited about this.
You know, part of me, and of course, I'm not going to say that this is the way that it has to be or anything like that, but part of me kind of wants that for LFR as well. Maybe not necessarily silver, but some sort of proving ground medal. Mm-hmm. I mean, would be nice to be able to go through LFR. I mean, it just kind of means that people are more committed to it.
Yeah. What I think I would love. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
What I would love for LFR is if you're queuing as a certain spec or a certain role, I should say, you have to be currently in that spec and role to be queued. So if I want to queue as a healer, I have to be flagged in a healing spec in game while queued, and I can't zone into the LFR unless I'm in that spec, because that then will eliminate people. Oh, so and so queued as a healer, but they're actually in DPS.
Well, it might cut it down a little bit, but I don't think it would go away completely.
Well, if you literally couldn't change specs.
Well, okay, all right.
Like literally lock them into the spec.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Right.
Like not let them into the zone until they're in the spec that they queued as.
That's interesting.
Right.
Because it exists, right? Because it's like, oh, you have to,
and I could see, and I know that a lot of people that are LFR heroes out there that only do LFR for whatever reason it is, whether it's just, time commitment or whatever, you're thinking, oh my God, these guys are, being elitist or whatever. No, we're just trying to make sure that it's enjoyable for everybody that plays. I mean, and I think that's the big thing whenever you're talking about whatever difficulty it is. You want to make sure that it's fun for those people that are trying this content, especially when it's new. Once it's been worn in a little bit, like Siege of Orgrimmar right now, I'm sure that people are going into LFR for Siege and expecting, great things from everybody. And it doesn't always happen, but I mean, now we've had a while in Siege of Orgrimmar, it's a lot better than what it was.
Well, now in the chat room, Joto Boy says, so heroic 5-mans are harder than LFR? The answer is yes, I believe, right? Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
they're going to be more difficult.
Because LFR is intentionally meant to be tourist mode.
That's what was said at BlizzCon 2013. Was that LFR is supposed to be tourist mode. That's something Greg Street said, and heroics.
And then he was fired for saying that.
Right,
he was immediately fired for saying tourist mode.
Right, but then they're talking about buffing up heroics to what we think heroic really means, and that's kind of a cool idea as well. So we can have something for kind of everybody, I guess.
I'm going to tell you something, man. All you guys out there are like, I want challenging 5-man heroics. That's what I want. I want hardcore. And I'm telling you, just wait till you're in there, baby. When you're in there and you're wiping and you're going to be like, why are these so hard? I don't want them to be this hard. I'm just saying, be careful what you wish for.
Well, and I think maybe doing the proving grounds beforehand is another way to kind of alleviate that. So that at least you don't have that random element of this guy doesn't know anything about what's going on ever in his class.
Right.
So
that
could be all right. Hey, fellas, I think we got to get the heck out of here, actually. We've gone long. I don't know. So I think what we'll do is we'll kind of wrap this stuff up, and the way that we always wrap stuff up is to make sure to give shout-outs from our iTunes folks, those guys that are giving us reviews and such. Koltrane, can you take it this week for us?
Sure. Let me just find it in the show notes, because even the shout-outs, the iTunes are all over the place.
They're all over the place.
But big shout-out, thank you so much for the 5-star review to Joe Brewer, 28, Cheer Booth?
Your guess is as good
Share.
as
I
mine.
was like, is it Share Booth?
I don't know.
Share Booth. I'm going with Share Booth.
All right.
If I could turn back time.
Oh, Derevka.
That's funny.
Speaking my language. And then Leatherface. So
Yeah.
thank you so much to Leatherface.
Yeah.
All right.
Any shout-outs this week, fellas? I know I have.
I'll shout out to Darius for not showing up.
Derry.
Yeah.
I went to Disneyland with him yesterday for, I think it was 12 hours,
Wow.
I think.
Wow.
My legs are on fire. They're pretty much
on fire.
Now,
I'm not a math whiz. We started at 10 and left at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night,
That's
and they
still
were still
12 hours.
going. That's not 12, right?
That's
How many is that?
10.
10.
It's 10,
Oh,
but
come on. I'm off by 2.
it's good. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Come on. 2
It's not-
hour
it's not
difference.
We have a 24-hour day.
Oh,
Half of that is
jeez.
12. So 10.
You're out of your mind. I'm off
Oh.
by 2. Come on. All right. Look, I'm creative brain, not math brain.
So if
I don't
you
know if
showed
that's
up
the left or
2
right.
hours
fine.
late to the show.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know.
All right. You know what? But it was a good time.
Good.
It was a really good
Good.
time. Went with him and Wyatt Orr.
I know that Darius is a Disney freak. Like
He is.
Like last time at BlizzCon, we rated that place. We had like 10 people on all the rides at all times. Within our group, we had 2 riding the bench, and they would come in every once in a while. It was cool.
Right. Every ride. Like every ride.
Yeah, Derevka, I want to give a shout out to you because thank you for popping in here and sharing your thoughts, especially on all the beta stuff. Very helpful.
He's a priest.
He's a priest.
A priest.
And I know that we'll be getting to, other than Twitter, are you doing anything else online that people can reach you at?
No, just Twitter and the How to Priest forums. That's
All right.
really about it.
All right. Well,
That's awesome. I got to do a quick shout out to all of our friends in Shadow Moon Valley. Thank you for showing us your love with your love rockets and for joining us here. It's been awesome.
they
So
keep
thank
on
you.
changing too, don't they? They
I
keep
love
on
it. I
changing what mounts they're on. That's cool.
right.
That's cool. I like
One of
it.
them.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys, for hanging out in Shadow Moon Valley for sure. And I'm gonna bail out on the music.
Are you just gonna bail out? Just
Yeah,
bail
I
out?
just did it. I just
Well.
said, screw it. Who cares?
All
I'm gonna play this instead. There we go. Ooh, a little bit of rhythm. So now we cannot do this show without you guys. Thanks for taking the time to review us on iTunes. Thanks for the feedback. I know that we had some questions this week that we couldn't get to, but please feel free to join in on all the conversations we're having at any time. You can email us, converttораid@gmail.com. You can call us and leave comments and questions on our raid line, 612-787-RAID. That's 612-787-7243. Follow us on Twitter at ConvertToRaid, or even individually, isn't that right, Colt?
You can follow Pat Krane at Pat Krane. You can follow Darius at Bored Mind. You can follow myself at _Koltrane. And Derevka, how do we follow you?
You follow me with at DEREVKA at Derevka on Twitter.
It's so simple.
So simple.
So simple. Now, you can also join the Bazooba Guabo Nation by heading over to converttoraid.com, where we have downloads, forums, tons of links for raiders, so much more. It's all over at converttoraid.com, including our video show. It's there, and it's also over at Gamebreaker TV, where our live show is held. Make sure to watch, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff on our videos. And our audio show is available on Stitcher, the BlackBerry Podcast Directory, iTunes, all sorts of places like that. And I'm winded, so it must be the end of the show.
Yeah.
But it was a great time. Hope you guys had fun out there. And we'll see you on our next show next week at our regular time, Sunday, 11 a.m. Central. And for all the guys at Convert to Raid, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Oh, boy.